All right, it says I'm live. As soon as you can hear me, I would love if you left a comment below. Hopefully all of this will work out tonight. I am using some software that will allow me to switch between me and a presentation. So hopefully everything will stay synced up. And yeah, we are here. I am super nervous. We have 916 at last count signed up for the planning party, which is so exciting. I know how much you guys are wanting this. You are looking forward to 2021 and starting fresh for a new year. And I love doing this in November because it's that pause before, the real thrust of the holiday season. That pause where we can really take stock of our creative pursuits, how things went, what went well and what didn't go so well, and to kind of get some plans in place and on the simmer mode so that when January hits, you can dive right in. I like to really spend time thinking about things. My team knows this, that we started planning for this event back in July. I love to work on things and then put them aside because when I come back, I find that I get so much more clarity because all those thoughts have been simmering and marinating in the meantime in the back of my head, even if it wasn't conscious, so that when it is time to take action, I understand what I loved most about it and maybe the parts that didn't quite fit. There's lots of things that we talked about doing for the planning party that aren't happening because when I came back to the table, it was like, no, we're going to kick that out. We're going to kick that out. We're going to kick that out here, right here. This lane that's narrow is what is most important and what's going to serve all of you best. All right, so I am seeing some signs here that everything is working. If you could share where you're from, I would love to hear. We have Jackie from Texas, Pamela from Alberta. We had some folks earlier, Virginia from Ohio, Denise from Minnesota, Anandi from Phoenix, Dawn from Ontario, Laura in Chicago, Mikkel from Utah, Helen in Illinois. Oh my God, now it's going to go so fast. Oh my God, there's so many people here. This is so fun. Iris in California and Megan in Connecticut, all over the country. That is just so exciting. Just thank you so much for being here tonight and not being here for me, but being here to invest this time in yourself, in your hobby, and making that commitment that you can take 2 weeks and spend a little bit of time each day to get a plan in place that your scrapbooking next year can be joyful and easy. All right. Wow, you guys are all over. This is so exciting. What I'm going to do tonight, this is designed to be just a warm-up kickoff chat to welcome you to the planning party. So I have literally just a few slides to give you a high-level overview and reminders of what to expect. And then we're going to walk through the full workbook. Because I know sometimes when you get a bunch of paper, it's only 13 pages, but when you get a bunch of paper, it's easy to just kind of glaze over and not really understand the full intent behind it. So we're going to walk through page by page. I'm not going to read it all to you, but I'll tell you my intent behind each question and why I think they're important and why I want you to spend some time thinking and writing. And this is one where I want you to print it out. I want you to write by hand. And I know there's a lot of you who maybe have already copied it to Trello or done something else, but I want to encourage you to have that tactile experience because at the end of this, I'm actually going to encourage you to throw away your workbook or maybe even just tuck it away if you can't do that. But this is designed to be an exercise to prepare you. It is not the end result. It is the part of the process. It's the journey that's going to get you there. And we're going to give you some additional tools as we go forward to help you then kind of capture the little bits that you're going to take forward. So I want you to think of this as the brain dump, the working plan, if you will. If you need to print out 2 of them, print out 2 of them. I really want to encourage you to get it messy and have it be dog-eared and really use the backs of the pages if you have to really get everything out of your head and onto paper so then we can move forward from here. So I saw a question here. If you did not get the welcome email, if you could send me an email at jennifer@simplescrapper.com. I will make sure that you get that again tonight. I will also pop a link in the chat box here to make sure that you guys have access to the workbook. Let me just pull that up quick here. All right. No problem. I know there's some that maybe not have checked their email. Sometimes it possibly goes to spam. You never know what happens. All right, where is that message real quick? Whew. Actually, if I see that Kim is there, if you could find the link, Kim, and pop that in the chat box, I would really appreciate that because I am too flustered to find it this quickly. But yes, and so the workbook sent out this morning, and it will be sent out again tomorrow. And if you have any problems at all, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll get you all taken care of. We did have a number of people come in today. I sent them a catch-up email, and anyone who registers from here forward, or even if you're popping on here and you haven't registered yet, you'll get an email right away that includes the workbook and kind of everything you need to know to jump right in. All right, so awesome, guys. Thank you. So let's switch this over to the presentation and we will go from there. And I know you guys are gonna have lots of questions, so that's why let's just give you the lay of the land and then we'll see what you guys need to know going forward. All right, so let's switch this to this. All right. Can you tell me if that is reversed or not? Because on one of my screens, it's reversed. So, but I have a way to fix that if you need it fixed. Tell me if it says planning party kickoff chat or that backwards, and then we will know. Looks right, Brianne. Thank you. It's fine. All right. So crazy how things sometimes do that. You never know. Okay, so yes, you're here at the planning party kickoff chat. If you did not know, this is our 4th year doing a planning party. When we started doing this, I really wanted to simply just kind of share our plans for the new year. But I knew how important it was, as I said, to take this time. And so I thought we could go on this journey together where you're creating your plan. We're going to share later, most of that will be next week, some of the things that we're doing for next year. We're going to share our book club selections, fun activities that we're planning for next year. And so we're going on this journey together. All right, so I'm hoping that you're here because you want to be a happy and productive scrapbooker. And that's kind of this a little bit of a elusive balance. And one of the reasons why we are Simple Scrappers, because we recognize there's this nuance and the subtleties of what is simple and what is simplicity in your life. Is it paring back so that you can get more done, or is it paring back so that you can have more rest? And of course, it's some of both, depending on what you need. And so there's always this teeter-totter, this fine balance in life. And that's why we started talking about being happy and productive. We want you to enjoy your hobby and really get a lot out of your experience, but also continue to be moving forward. We want you to really enjoy your scrapbooking and be getting things done along the way. All right. So I have this formula, and this is one of the first times I'll be sharing it, and I will be presenting this again next week during our webinar, and I have those dates coming up soon. And I've been working for the past 6 months on this, and this is the formula that I call the happy and productive scrapbooker formula. And it has 3 parts. So the first thing that you need is focus. And what I mean is you need to understand why you're a scrapbooker and what it is you're going to do. This is kind of the foundation, the basic. And you'll notice this, we have these 3 sections in your workbook as well. You need to just have that sense of clarity, both internally and on paper, about what it is you're trying to accomplish. But then on top of that, you need finesse. And what I'm referring to here is that the reason we have a podcast, Scrapbook Your Way. Finesse is what makes your hobby different from your friend's hobby. It's all the little subtle tweaks you do both in your life to create a happy and productive container for your scrapbooking and in your hobby to make it joyful and easy for you. It's all those little things to give your hobby that personalized flavor and to really make it fill you up and fit your life right now. And then finally, which really connects to that right now, is you need to actually get finished. And so all the parts that go into this are the things that support you, coming to live streams like this, signing up for classes, being part of communities. What type of accountability do you use inside your life internally, whether it's your own planner, whether you have a habit tracker, whether you write things down, however you keep yourself on track, and then all the external accountability that you employ in order to also get things done. So it's kind of this layered and it's all additive so that when you have all three components, you can be a happy and productive scrapbooker. And the more you feed each of these buckets, the more you'll become a happy and productive scrapbooker because there's always room for improvement. All right, so this is a high-level overview of what to expect during the planning party. And you've already dove in, but I want to kind of show you how this all fits together. So the first part is your workbook that started today. And your number one goal for this event is to complete the workbook. If you do nothing else, I want you to print out and complete that workbook because I know that's what's really going to move the needle for you and give you the best starting point for next year. So even if you don't come to any more events or participate in the conversations, if you do your workbook, you will get so much out of it. And so that's when I mentioned that, we kicked all these other things out because I knew the workbook was really what was going to be the most pivotal thing for you to work on. And so that starts today. You're going to look back so that you can start looking ahead. And then we have the webinar. So next week, I am doing 3 sessions of a webinar called Your Year, Your Way. That's where we're going to be going in deep into the full happy and productive scrapbooker framework. We're going to be sharing, having an opportunity for you to chat with your fellow scrapbookers about your workbook. So we're not just going to do the 10,000-foot view of all of these big picture ideas. You're going to get to talk to other scrapbookers and find out what's working for them, what's not working for them, how they've made course corrections throughout the year to make things work better, to get projects finished, and to find more time in your life for your hobby. And we have those conversations at our Your Way workshops every single month. And so this is kind of that ramped up a little bit. We'll have a lot of time for you to connect with others while we also kind of really learn how this framework will set you up for a successful year. And then during this webinar is also when we're going to share all the fun things that we have planned for 2021 as well. So the first session is on November 10th. And I'll have 3 different sessions, and I'll share on the next slide when those will be. So 3 days and times for your convenience. It's going to be essentially the same every single time, though, of course, the small group interactions will be a little bit different. But the idea is just to give you that range of options so that there's one that might fit your schedule. And then finally, on the 15th, we have a brand new tool called the dashboard. And I can't share too much about this yet because I kind of want to just keep it a secret and build a little anticipation for it. This is kind of the companion to your workbook. It's really simple, but really, really powerful. This is, again, completely for free. But I want you to really have this workbook experience and have all these thoughts, build this knowledge about yourself and your hobby before you then dive into the dashboard. I thought if I included it inside the workbook, it would just get lost. So we're going to turn our attention to that towards the end of the planning party. And I think you're really, really going to like it. And of course, we have the creative conversations. I wanted something that could create this community atmosphere that we can't be on YouTube live chat every single day. How can we have these asynchronous conversations where we're dialoguing about all these different facets and all these different aspects of what's in your workbook, and how you're carving out time and the formats you like to use, and what are your roadblocks, and Has 2020 been a struggle for you, or has it been just, a gift of time and now you're super productive? I'm hearing stories on both ends of that spectrum. So these daily conversations over here, I guess we're here on YouTube, are going to be where you can connect with fellow scrapbookers, a bit of a slower pace. Every question will be labeled. We have question 1 went up this morning. And so every day we'll have one simple question for you to pop on, share, and then also comment back with others and see what other people are saying so that you can learn from them. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect. I wanted to pick YouTube because it's the oldest and most open platform, doesn't require a phone app, and doesn't require you to be on Facebook either. All right. And then, of course, we have the Your Year, Your Way webinar. So here's the dates. So we'll have one in the afternoon, Central Time, on November 10th. We'll have another one, and I anticipate this to be the most well-attended, to be 8 p.m. on November 12th. That's next Thursday. And then we'll have Saturday morning, November 14th, for the third option. And while I will record, kind of splice some of the footage together, I won't be sharing the full recording until the 15th. It will probably just be a solo recording that I do kind of, on my own. But if you aren't able to attend one of those live sessions, I will have a recording at the very end so that you can kind of catch up on the whole presentation and get the lay of the land and all the sneak peeks that we have for next year. All right, now it's time to turn our attention to the workbook. But before we do that, I want to see if there's any other questions about how this is all going to flow. I wanted to keep it just simple, straightforward. Check your email, hop over to YouTube, leave a comment every day, keep working on your workbook, ask questions. You can ask on YouTube, or you can even feel free to reply to the email and ask me. I am here to help you, to guide you, to nudge you forward. We have also other community members who are already commenting on YouTube as well. So I know this is going to be a really fun and collaborative experience. All right, let's check out. Oh, the mysterious dashboard. Love the sound of it. Thank you, Judy. Barbara, to someone who has become more productive in 2020, because it certainly has not worked for me. I hope those folks do raise their hands and share, because that's certainly not the dominant theme, but I have heard a lot of that. I know that for certain there was a lot more scrapbook supplies purchased during this time as we were trying to figure out how to fill our time at home. Anandi, thank you. She says the workbook is so pretty. I tried. Cook Scrap Craft says the coronavirus is what made me more productive. Nothing like working from home and scrapbooking. See, there's a range of whether or not being at home helped you get more done. And even though you maybe had that time and space for getting things done, did you have sometimes the emotional bandwidth to dive into it? Scrapbooking is so personal. And I know there's some, we talked about this last night in our Your Way workshop, is that they did not feel like they had the emotional availability to scrapbook about this time, let alone scrapbook about anything. So they turned to other crafts, and that's fine too. Joanna asks, does this have anything to do with journaling, or is it just scrapbooking? We are predominantly scrapbookers here, but I would say we are memory keepers, and that ranges from traditional scrapbookers, digital photo books, memory planners. So I would say if you're a journaler, you are certainly welcome here. And I think that 95 to 99% of everything we do will apply to you. And I'm curious to see what you think as well. So definitely, we really are an inclusive bunch in terms of the types of activities that we do. And we also, many of us do a range of those activities. I've been journaling this year in a new Heidi Swap Storyline Chapters book with all the kind of more of a stickery type journaling, trying to do it daily, not quite on that routine yet for me, but trying to lean on my community to get there as well. Seeing other comments here of Mikkel says she does journaling in photo books, not traditional. It's awesome. Judy's asking, Barbara, do you think you do better with structured time? See, that is the type of amazing support that our community has here. So if you are new, I want to encourage you to ask questions, reach out, if I don't get there first, somebody else will, because that's how generous and warm and supportive our community is. All right, Bree says, I went through a massive creative block in the middle of the year, but eventually the at-home time helped. Amy says that she's been more productive. You know, Amy shared inside of our membership community today how much time she's really devoted to her hobby and how she's almost even created a schedule for herself, whether it's, you know, crop time with friends and hosting crops and really making her creativity a priority and trying to balance that with her other obligations as well. All right, okay, let's dive into the workbook. Love seeing the conversation. This is so terrific. All right, we need to get out of here. And we will bring the workbook up. Okay. And this is where I have to now look at the screen to show you the workbook, or I could probably do it this way. We'll see. Let's see what happens here. All right, so of course we have the welcome, shares a little bit more about me if you are new to the community, and then a spot of what do you hope to discover. And I want to encourage you that, you know, throughout our creative conversations in the YouTube comments, I'll be kind of asking you to maybe follow up on some of what you learned in the workbook. But one of the reasons we have the workbook, because it's your safe space to really share everything. I want to encourage you to share as much as you're comfortable with, but to know that you have this workbook to share maybe some of your deeper, more complicated thoughts that you need time to process on your own. All right. And then, of course, we have the introduction to the formula. I'm so excited about this. You will see this through everything that we do, how we're setting up the next year, and really trying to help you understand how investing energy in each of these 3 areas will better support you as a scrapbooker. And then, of course, our question, what makes you happy? You know, you'll see, and this is, again, our question for tomorrow. I'm going to keep asking you about you. You know, what makes you tick? Not even just as a scrapbooker, but personally, like what fills you up? Why are you coming to the table? What value do memories and stories have to you? And what value does creativity and playtime, what does that have to you? And how does that make your story as a scrapbooker? This is where we need to start, because this is the foundation for staying motivated all year long. One of the things we always revisit, particularly during our refresh retreats, is you have to keep coming back to this why. That's what's going to keep you motivated, because sometimes it feels like a drudge, especially if it's like a big vacation album. You got to keep going back, even if it was a delightful Disney vacation or a trip of a lifetime. You know, there's stuff to do that sometimes is repetitive, and it's not always the most fun in the entire world. It's certainly not as fun as the vacation itself. But when you go back to the why, we go back to that feeling of, you know, how much you're going to love having this project done in the future, how much you're going to love sharing that with your family and your friends, and that feeling of pride and success when it's done. And that's how we get through to the other side. Now, there's certainly the fun, playful aspects of it as well, but sometimes it doesn't always happen. And we want to make sure that we always have something, kind of a well that we can tap into, and that's your why whenever you need it. All right, now we're transitioning into the focus section. So you'll see throughout the workbook, we have focus, finesse, and finish. So we're really trying to help you start using this as a tool for yourself. So here again, we went from personal now to scrapbooking. Why do you scrapbook? And then at the bottom here, if you weren't clear how to do this, think of this as a kind of a continuum from you're someone who's very family legacy oriented, that is why you scrapbook, or you're someone that does this as a purely creative outlet. Most of us are somewhere in between, but typically you will either lean slightly one way or slightly another. And it's important to understand where you are right now on that continuum, and maybe even how that has changed. You can even put little markers on there for when I started scrapbooking, I was here, and now I am here. And that can be so illuminating in terms of the products you're not using, the projects you're not finishing, because maybe your motivation has changed. And what's really lighting your fire and filling you up day to day is different. And so if you see there's that mismatch, that's going to lead to challenges with productivity and feeling frustrated. And so the more that you can kind of bring out this data, the more you'll have to use in making decisions to go forward. All right, now we're going to talk about fun and motivation and progress. This is really a chance to think about the silver linings of 2020, because no matter how amazingly productive you were, like Amy, or how challenging things felt to you, there's something that you can count on. Even showing up here, we always say that showing up to something at Simple Scrapper is a win. It's putting yourself out there, connecting with others, and saying, yeah, I want to learn something new, or have a conversation and really try to start moving the ball forward again. So I'm really going to keep encouraging you to go back to those positive feelings, particularly, we do this every year, but 2020 in particular, we need to really kind of attract all the positivity that we can so that we don't fall down that hole of feeling all the negative feelings, of which there genuinely are many, and deservedly so. But if we can focus on the positives, that's what's going to give us the best framework for making a plan for 2021. All right, now this page, this is my least favorite and your favorite. I will say that, because every time I try to cut this out of a workbook, somebody asks for it back. And over the years, even though we've been doing the planning party for just 4 years, we've been doing some type of workbook like this for a lot of years now. And every time I try to take this out, someone really asks for it. And it's because this is the place where you can list all the projects. So the projects you're currently actively working on, the projects that you're not working on yet are somewhere in your space or in your computer that are unfinished, and then the projects that you maybe want to start. So it's that brain dump of all the things. And this is so powerful for being able to get a lay of the land. And maybe if you've done this before, you can see how much you've done over the years or how much you've not done. I know that I've had there's certain projects that have been on my unfinished and to start list for a number of years now, probably since I started. Well, that's a really big clue. Maybe there's either it's the way I'm approaching it or the meaning behind it, that there's a disconnect between the project and my why. There's so much information you can glean that's can help you make course corrections if you have it down on paper here. And we will, later in the workbook, you'll see we reference back to this again to help you make those decisions. But this is kind of that big page. Barbara says she needs 4 to 5 of those pages. Amy says she's been doing the workbook since 2014. Has it really been that long? All right. Welcome, Jessica. I'm glad you're able to pop in. Oh, we should do YouTube live chats more often. This is super fun. All right, let's keep going. Now we're transitioning to the finesse section, and this is another brand new thing. I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to see what you guys think of it. So this is the Happy and Productive Scrapbooker checklist. And I sat down with this, and this is, I probably created this 9 months ago now, and I was kind of just waiting for November to finally get here. And I wanted to think about, okay, if you are doing good in your hobby, and it doesn't mean you're perfect, it doesn't mean you're perfectly productive and you're finishing every single project, because that's life. It's not going to happen. There's always going to be ebb and flow. But if you're doing good, what are the attributes that you're going to have? And this is what I came up with. And I'm not expecting anyone to have an A+ 100% on this. I don't have an A+ 100% on this. But what it does is it gives you a place to start, a reference point in addition to the projects. Because I think sometimes in scrapbooking, we only look at that project list and we focus on the what and the things we need to finish. Whereas a lot of these things are more abstract concepts that support you finishing them. But if you never focus on those supports, you're never going to get there. So think of it, let's make the analogy with your wellness journey. Let's say, you're trying to lose 20 pounds for health or attraction, whatever reason you want to lose those 20 pounds. If you don't develop the better eating habits or exercise habits to get there, it's going to be really difficult because you need to have some of the foundation built up so that you can not only get there, but have long-term success with it. So I want you to use this list now. In 3 months from now, I want you to use this list again and again to help you understand what it is you need to focus on to support yourself in your hobby. Where do you need to really finally spend some time focusing on your photos and maybe putting some projects aside? Do you need to really train yourself to pick up and be more tidy in your hobby? And maybe that will even have a ripple effect into the rest of your home as well. In which of these areas could you really use that extra oomph of energy so that all those projects that you want to work on can better be supported? So I'm really excited about this. I live for lists. I love having this list. Lists make me happy. We're seeing some mention of Trello here today. So I'll give you the hint. When you get the dashboard, it will be a PDF. And I will have it as a Trello template for you as well. Trello is a project management tool. This past year, I taught a 9-month that was both basically a storytelling experiment, but we used Trello to help you keep track. So it was a way of training you to use Trello with a purpose. And then next year, we're going to have more of a mini kind of Trello boot camp type class coming out as well. Because as much as we love paper and we have lots of paper planners, even I have my Hobonichi here. This isn't my long-term storage of ideas. I use Trello for that. And so we'll talk a little bit about that more in the planning party because I know so many of you have had such good success with it this year. Okay, that was the checklist. I hope you guys love it. All right, continuing on to finesse, these are the really 2 big questions. What worked well for you this year and what didn't work well? And I think it's important that you had kind of that mental conversation prior in the workbook before you get to this point. Because if you just sat down and thought about it, you may not bring up the same things. You may not know the nuances of it and really have that foundation in your why to maybe see where there's a disconnect. Because if you're not thinking about why you're a scrapbooker, you may not be able to identify that. So I think the order, the sequence of activities here was very intentional because I want you to really have that internal knowledge to be able to state plainly and to really, share a reality and should be honest with yourself about what worked and what didn't. That's the only way we can move forward is by really sharing those facts. And then, of course, this gets in now to the plan. This is maybe one of the most important pages, page 9. What do you want to change? What do you want to start? And what do you want to continue? So this is where you can get really specific about the things that you want to do. Maybe you want to, this past year, I did a project life for the first time. I always said I'm never going to do project life. And that's because I didn't want to do it in pocket page format. But then I found a format that was going to work better for me to be able to do a weekly project life. And so I was able to put that on my list to say, I'm going to start doing that. And I'm probably going to continue doing it for next year, but with some tweaks now that I have another year's worth of knowledge on that experience. So this is really kind of the foundation of your plan here at that big picture of the types of things you're going to change, start, and continue. And, I'm still seeing lots of conversation about Trello here. Trello may be one of those things that you want to start. You want to start using Trello to build your creative hub and have a home for all of your projects and plans because, maybe one page isn't enough and you want to make sure that you can have a bigger storage space for it. Okay, page 10 is then kind of, this connects a little bit back to your checklist as well. And this is where I introduce the 80-20 rule. And you've probably heard a million permutations of the 80-20 rule in a lot of different areas of life. But here at Simple Scrapper, we like to encourage you to spend 80% of your time doing what works, doing things in your comfort zone, because that's what's most going to contribute to productivity. And then saving 20% for trying new things, for doing things just because they're fun, just for the sake of experimentation, for the sake of learning something new about yourself. And when you do that, you'll be able to always take that knowledge from that 20% without feeling like you totally fell off the train. I see a lot of good intentions, and we're gonna say a lot that, you know, good intentions sometimes are not enough, because our to use another metaphor, our eyes are bigger than our stomachs sometimes. We think we can start all these different things, and I am so guilty of that as well. When January comes around, I'm like, oh, I want to do one little word, and I'm going to do Project Life, and I'm going to do all these different projects. And then by February, I'm like, oh, I can't really juggle all that. It's such a common thing. But if we start now in November and really think about, we want to do more of these types of things because we know they're in our comfort zone, they're in our wheelhouse, and we want to do a little bit, we want to dabble in these areas, that will set you up for more success. So when January comes, you can make even stronger and more effective decisions, and you're not attracted, maybe if you're attracted to all the shiny objects, you are better able to say no to some of them because you know they don't fit within your plan. And that's, you know, that's really kind of one of the fundamental things I hope you get from this, is that there's so many options and opportunities. There's so many different things you could be doing as a scrapbooker, both in terms of projects that you're going to work on, as well as how you can be involved in the community. And you have to pick and choose. It's a buffet. You can't eat everything at the oh gosh, Golden Corral. Sorry, you can't eat everything at the Golden Corral. You'll feel sick, and then you won't be able to be productive and move on, because you're just gonna not feel good after that. You have to pick and choose your favorite things. You pick the fried okra and the mac and cheese, and you have a dessert, and then you go home. So, all right, let's go move on there. Okay, I think that was the last of finesse. Now we're moving into finish. So this is where I want to help you understand how you actually get things done. And it's not by trying to do all the things at once. You know, we set up a really good framework for making these decisions and being able to audition opportunities. But then how do you actually really put the blinders on and move forward? So we're going to think about first what's exciting you right now. And this is something that you're going to always need to revisit. Every time it's time to make a decision, revisit this and think about what's exciting you. Because what was exciting me 6 months ago, or let's say, you know, February pre-pandemic, is different from what's exciting me now. And so then with that lens, you'll be able to then go back to the big list and pick what are your 4 best options. You're going to think about what's exciting you, what's interesting, and what's also important to you, and look for that intersection between the two. You know, what stories do you really feel passionate about getting told, or projects you feel that are really significant that you want to finish? And then what's fun and exciting and interesting to you right now? And you have to always look for that intersection, because those are the projects that are going to get done. So I'll have you list your 4 best options here. And then from there, you can then take that one project and start teasing it apart a little bit. And how can you make it easier, and how can you make it more fun? So even if you've already picked a fun project, how can you refine that further? We all have this tendency of making things a little too hard on ourselves, really kind of having this massive vision and then realizing, oh, that's going to be a lot of work, or that wasn't realistic. That was just, you know, a bit too optimistic, or a bit too complicated. I'm not going to enjoy the process. So every time you really dive into a project, whether you're starting it for the first time or you're revisiting it, think about how you can make it easier and how you can make it more fun. And then finally, what are the next 3 steps you need to take? I know you're going to have a much longer list, and there's, sometimes it could be 10 steps, sometimes it could be 100 steps to actually getting it done. But you can't ever get to number 100 unless you do 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, 6, et cetera, et cetera. So 3 steps at a time. One of my favorite tips, and this is a bad example because this is a small sticky notepad, but the regular size sticky notepad, if you have trouble kind of getting distracted by the internet and distracted by all your ideas, write your next 3 steps on a sticky note, put it on your desk, cross them off one at a time. When you're done, throw the sticky note away and start again. You can use this in any area of your life, but even if you just use it in scrapbooking, it's so powerful to not only know, okay, here's my 3 things I need to focus on, but if you need to get up and go tend to your family member. I have a daughter doing online school at home these days, and I get distracted. I'm helping her with her studies. So I don't have the same type of continuity in my work as I did in the before times. So sometimes I need to come back. That's why I even have a sticky note here, is schedule tomorrow's email, because I know that when this is over, I'm going to, be off in my own world, and I need to remember what it is I need to do next. So that 3 item sticky note can really, really help. All right. And then the last page here, this is kind of the big picture plan. And I've shared this a number of times over the years because I think it's important for you to start with kind of your life context. What all is going on? So for example, I know that we're hosting a conference in May next year for my work at the university. And even though it's a virtual conference, it's still going to be probably energy. So I'm not going to plan on doing any big projects in May of next year, maybe even mid-April to May, because I know that's going to take a lot of my time. So think about, what are the big things in your life that you need to pencil in? I know some of you are teachers or work in the school system, and so you have different amounts of time right in the middle of the school year versus in the summer. And so think about, what is that balance of time and energy, and how does your calendar look? Because that needs to be the foundation so that you can put together a plan that's practical. And then from there, you can add in, okay, what are the big things I know I want to do? If you're someone who participates in December Daily every year and you do a big album and that's going to be your big focus in December and maybe even a little bit in November, go ahead and pencil that in, because that takes time off the calendar. And it's not right or wrong. We just need to be honest and genuine and realistic about how much space we have for our new projects. And then from there, you can add in 2 or 3 more projects based on everything else in your workbook to figure out, okay, when are these things actually going to get done next year? Because you'll see time fills up so quickly. And if you know there's going to be other opportunities, there's going to be maybe classes you want to take or things you want to participate in, those need to fit into the picture as well. So I think this will give you that foundation of knowing what's already on your plate before you even jump into 2021. Whew. All right, that was the workbook. Let me check out the comments here. Amy asked, so the 4 projects are to narrow down to 1 priority, or the 4 projects for 2021? No, the 4 projects are to narrow down to 1 thing that you want to do next. They could be your 4 projects for 2021, but oftentimes it will be, you narrow it down to 1 thing, you work on that, you kind of make that your top priority for a period of time, and then you would come back and revisit this to pick a new priority, because oftentimes things will change. What's interesting to you might change. And I know personally, if I set 4 projects now for all of 2021, maybe 2 of the 4 would never get done because I wouldn't be interested in them by the time I got to it. So this is something that you can always come back to. And then you'll see a little bit later next week in the dashboard how these kind of things connect, for how you would take this knowledge that you're building for yourself in the workbook and move forward from there. COVID is a hurdle that makes planning challenging, that's for sure. Anandi says it feels so hard to figure out how to plan given all the uncertainty. Yes. No, it is very true. And I think that, think about what life was like before. Think about what life is like for now. And what are the similarities? What are the differences in terms of your time, your proximity to your scrapbook stuff, and how your productivity has changed or not. And I think that will kind of help inform you to make a realistic plan. And maybe you have, as you said, think about what are the scenarios. Like maybe you have a spectrum of here's the bare minimum, and then here's my like stretch goals of what I think I could accomplish if things go a certain way. And for everyone, that's going to look a little bit different. So someone says, is it Michelle? I think Michelle Lowry. I think it's important to plan something. Otherwise, I would just spin my wheels. You can change a plan, but only if you've made one. Oh, I love that so much. That's such a brilliant, brilliant message. Because, yes, having something on paper gives you something to react to say, okay, that's not going to work. And if I've not made it clear yet, it will become clear throughout this experience. Or if you've been around for a while, you know to get things back on a better track. It's not about sticking to a clear, firm path. It's about following your own path so that it stays happy, it stays productive. And sometimes it's, following a fun thing. I like to create space and hold space in my calendar for those opportunities so that when something piques my interest, I can go down it and I don't have to say, well, if I do that, then all these things aren't going to get done. When you have that acknowledgement that there will be opportunities you don't even know about yet. There's going to be classes offered next year that you haven't even heard of, that even the person teaching them hasn't even come up with yet. And that probably includes me as well. Things always will come up. And so having a plan allows you to react to that and know how this thing fits or doesn't fit into the plan that you want to achieve. Amy says, I tend to review quarterly, so adapting each quarter sounds like a great idea. One of the things you'll see going forward is that we're really trying to make the tools flexible to the time scale that works for you. Carol says, could you make the workbook picture bigger? I can. It's hard to see the page, but I can make it bigger. The time scale that works for you, because some people are January to quarter, some people are December to February as a quarter because that's more of the winter natural season. Some people are on fiscal quarters. It just depends on what world you live in. Where in the world you live, depending on how the seasons are for you and how you think about time. Some people like to change everything every single month. Oh, can you make your picture bigger versus the workbook? Yes, it's time to go back to me. Here we go. Thank you. I understand now. Thanks, Carol. And one of the things that we'll share is that, I'll give you a sneak peek, we're moving to a 2-month cycle. Quarters were too long. Single months were too fast. So we're going to go to the 2-month creative journeys starting in January. And that's all I'm going to share for now. But all of the tools we'll be sharing, like the dashboard, for example, I want to make sure that they are adaptable to whatever time schedule works for you, because I know some of you are very wedded to your quarterly planning, but your quarters may start differently. So really trying to make it flexible while also creating opportunities for both dabbling in different things and going a little bit deeper than we have in the past. Oh, wow, I've been talking for 50 minutes already. Okay, so what additional questions do you have about the planning party, about the workbook? I'm excited to share, though I can't, of course, share all the details because I will be sharing more on the webinar next week. But I want to make sure that you have clarity about what to expect and what I'm expecting of you. Judy, so will there be quarterly planning offerings anymore? Probably not in the same way. We'll probably be doing more of that starting fresh every 2 months. Am I talking about book club tonight at all? No, I am not. But I will preface for those who don't know about our book club. We have a nonfiction book club. We read primarily personal development books with a little bit of memoir is the word I'm thinking of. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. So we read personal development with a little bit of memoir, all kind of nonfiction books where we can grow and learn and connect these ideas, which often have nothing to do with scrapbooking, but connect them with scrapbooking. And it's such a fun experience. And we have another little twist on it next year. And I'll be sharing that next week at all the webinars. Jessica asked, will we have a yearly agenda in the Simple Scrapper community to put in the calendar? Yes. I will be sharing dates for our retreats and our Your Way workshops. I anticipate sharing those in early December. I probably won't be sharing those during the planning party. I'll be sharing a big picture framework at next week's webinar of kind of what we're doing. And then the exact dates will come out definitely before the end of the year, because I know you guys like to plan ahead. What platform the webinar is going to be on? We are going to, I have every intention of using Zoom as long as it works out, because we do have 916 registered. I hope we have, looks like we have about right now. That is our cap on Zoom. I could do a little bit bigger Zoom, but I'm a little worried about managing the breakout groups. But as of right now, next week the webinars will be on Zoom, because we're going to have breakout groups, and the video will be a little bit better quality than this as well. So it'll be opportunity to really engage face to face, not just me talking at you. So for the webinar times, I'll just bring that back to the presentation real quick again. I'll just switch this real quick. So we've got Tuesday, November 10th at 1 p.m. We've got Thursday, November 12th at 8 p.m. Saturday, November 14th at 9 a.m. And then if you couldn't attend any of those, I will have a recording. I will send all in which time will work best for you. And there's no registration required. I will be sending, it'll be the same link, and I will just send out the link to all of the planning party attendees so that you can come to whichever, or if you're interested in coming to all of them because you want to have that interaction, you're certainly welcome to, but most of the content will be repeated. Okay. How do we get notified about the questions on YouTube for chat? So I will send an email in the morning at 7 a.m. Kind of announcing the theme, the topic for the day, and then there'll be a link in that goes to YouTube questions. Lisa says, I love this format for chatting. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this is fun. I need to do this more often. Megan asks, newbie here, can you talk a little about membership? So I will be talking more in detail on the webinar next week, but I will say that we have a wonderful membership community. We have so many of our members here tonight. That includes regular online retreats, open crop time, so on Zoom, hanging out together, cropping, very, very regular, like multiple times a week. I think I saw like 5 or 6 on the calendar just for the next week. We have our members host these. I come as often as I can, but I can't come as much as I would like to. And then I host the crops during those retreats, and then members host additional crops during the retreats as well. The retreats and classes are part of the membership. Almost everything that I do is just inside the membership. Once in a while, I'll offer something special. Like, for example, this past year, I offered a photo editing study group with Crystal Livesay. She taught that for me, and so we did that inside the membership, so that was an added fee because I was bringing in that external instructor. And then I also taught the bucket list project, where that was an additional fee. It was a reduced fee for members, and then another fee for non-members, because we were hosting that outside of the membership. But the vast majority of everything I do is inside the membership. There's a number of classes that are self-paced in there. We have the finishing project, before your story, simple scrapbooking school. We have a number of pop-up workshops where we're kind of like mini classes, mixed media backgrounds, one on hybrid, one on digital, one on Trello, how to build a creative hub. I mean, there's a lot of content that's in there. And then we also have a magazine as well. We just released issue 73, 89. I've lost track because now of the because of the podcast numbers, but the number is very high. Let's see, it's on my desktop here. It is issue 83 that we just released of the magazine. It's so cool. Sometimes I feel so astounded to be in company of such amazing scrapbookers. So this is our magazine. We have a lot of fun things here. And this features the work of our creative team, and they're using, we also have a huge library of story starters. We're not currently to those story starters. We're not currently adding to our story starters because we have more than 1,000 already that our team works with every month, and they share inspiration on those storytelling prompts as well. Here's just an example. We have digital and paper layouts. Next year, you're going to see a little bit even more diversity of types of pages. And I'm so excited. I hope tomorrow, if not very, very soon after, we'll be able to announce our additional cast. Thank you. Monica says there's so much, something for what you need at the time. And yeah, I think that's what we always encourage you to do, and will be a big emphasis next year, is that every month we're going to have this theme, and I want you to take what resonates and what you need from it, and then let go of the rest, and then get back to the other things you want to work on. Because we're always going to be offering things that maybe you're learning something new. We want that to be your 20%, but then your 80% should be working on the projects that you already have on your slate. Pat asked the fee for membership. So I will share all this next week, but thank you for asking. It's $19 a month or $149 for a year of membership. And that gives you quite a bit of a discount by doing the annual plan. Tiffany says accountability alone is worth the money. Nikki says membership is very much worth it. So thank you guys for bringing that up. I wasn't going to mention it all today, but I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat box here if you're ready to go ahead and dive in. Monica says, best money I've ever spent is this membership. Thank you. Michelle, when I became a member, I was looking for inspiration sketches classes, and I found that and so much more. Well, thank you guys. I am so excited next week to share. We're going to have so much fun at the webinar. We're going to, excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought. You are going to talk about your workbook in a small group of other scrapbookers. What did you learn from doing the workbook, and what are you thinking in terms of your plans? I want it to be an opportunity for you to maybe massage those ideas and like throw some things on the table and see how people react to them, and see maybe they can poke holes in it to help you build an even better plan. And then I'll share more on how this framework, this formula can really support you. And then, of course, we'll share more about our big plans for next year and all the little things that we're changing and setting it up for you, because it's going to be really special next year. I think we've worked really hard. We do an annual member survey in late summer every year, where we then take all those suggestions and ideas and what you love and what could be better to try to make the membership better every single year. Every single year we change things just a little bit to keep it fresh and to always be evolving to what our community's needs are. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Maggie says, I agree the membership is totally worth the cost. In general, I don't do memberships, but this one is the exception, and I plan to stay. Thank you. You guys are so supportive and awesome. Thank you so much. And we are here at 9 o'clock. Again, thank you for spending time with me tonight. If you have more questions, you know where to find me. I'll be emailing you every single day for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully not too many days where it's twice a day, but we will mention the podcast, and when our creative team announcement comes up, little things, there may be 2 emails in a day. But every morning at 7 a.m. will be your little marching orders for the planning party. Tomorrow I will again remind you of those webinar dates, and on the webinar days I'll send you the link and everything. You'll always have everything you need to jump in. So if you have questions, just hit me up, ask in the comments as well on YouTube, and I can't wait for our conversation to continue tomorrow. So Autometh, so what exactly is the homework today? Your bare minimum homework is to print out and get started on your workbook. Kind of in general, you will be in a good place if you finish working through your workbook by the time you attend a webinar. So if you know if you're going to come on the 10th, have it done by the 10th, the 12th, have it done by the 12th, 14th, etc. So finishing the workbook by the time you come to the webinar will make you prepared to have conversations with fellow participants. So you have a good number of days to get started. It's not that many pages. Something to work on over 2 or 3 days, I think. You'll be able to get it done. Okay, we will end here for now. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about this, and I can't wait to spend time with you guys throughout the planning party. It's a little bit different than we did last year, but I am super pumped for it and glad we were able to have this kickoff chat to really get things going. All right, take care and have a great rest of your week.